the market is telling you something, don't ignore it. I think, the story about PayPal and eBay is that there was an anomaly where people on eBay were starting to use PayPal, and they saw this anomaly in their data and then pursued it, and then PayPal exploded because it became the go-to solution for buying stuff on eBay. But
Mm.
initially it was just a blip in the data, like, well, what's going on over here with eBay? Why are people over there using PayPal? And so I always say, look for those anomalies and look at why they're happening and think through, is this something that I can leverage? Is this something that I can build upon? And then start small and iterate from there.
Hey everyone, this is Devin Miller here with another episode of the Inventive Journey. I'm your host, Devin Miller, the serial entrepreneur that's grown several startups into 7- and 8-figure businesses, as well as the CEO and founder of Miller IP Law, where we help startups and small businesses with patents and trademarks. And if you ever need help with your patents or trademarks, just go to strategymeeting.com and grab some time with us to chat. Now, today we have another episode of Inventive Journey, but it's a Where Are You At Now episode, where we take where an inventor is at. We had Malinda Kohler. Kohler. All right. I was right the second half. Was on about 6 months ago. We chatted through a little bit of what she was doing as far as helping seniors to learn kind of technology, to come up to speed on how to integrate and use technology, whether it's for interacting with their daily lives and or for the job atmosphere. Now, as Malinda has gone the last 6 months, due to COVID, due to pivots, due to changes and everything else, she's pivoted and adjusted a bit and kind of bringing her up to, and she'll catch us up and bring us up to speed as to where she's at today, where they're at and what they're doing. So with that much as an introduction, welcome on the podcast, Malinda.
Hi, thanks. It's good to be here. Excited to share.
All right. Well, so take us back in the time machine 6 months ago. Kind of tell us where you were originally at, what you're doing, and then let's walk through a little bit of what the last 6 months have been, what's changed, how you pivoted, where you're at today.
Yeah, so 6 months ago, we were very focused on tech literacy for seniors. People who are stuck at home, don't know how to use their devices to stay connected. And we were creating educational programs to support them.
Mm.
And ironically, as we started to put the word out, we got requests from people of all ages for all areas of technology that wound up being far more career focused and business development focused. People were asking for lessons in things like QuickBooks, Shopify, Etsy, as all of these people were unemployed and starting their businesses for the first time. And then we also got a lot of job seekers looking to upskill. So we completely changed directions to meet that need.
So let me ask one question on that. So, I mean, because you guys, how long did you work on getting tech literacy for seniors? How long did you originally work on that program or getting that up to speed?
Not very long. I had started building in April, and we had a few programs going to support seniors, mainly working with the San Francisco Tech Council. And then we had a few partnerships in place. And as the reality of COVID set in, they all backed out and said they didn't have the funds, it wasn't the right time to start new educational programs. Meanwhile, we started getting all of these incoming requests. And at first I did that entrepreneur thing of like, well, no, why would we do QuickBooks? We're here to help people with tech literacy. And, almost turned business away and ignored the market until the market kind of just kept coming back and saying, no, I want this. And you guys are saying you're going to offer something like it. And so then I was like, okay, that's what we're going to do. So we built a community of industry professionals, people who have 8 to 10 years experience in growth marketing, web design, graphic design, social media marketing, other areas of tech. And the goal now is to help people get lucrative opportunities in these fields, or if they're building their own business, help them build their own business.
So now going back to the pivot just a little bit, because it sounds like it was almost kind of a 2-factor thing. In the sense that one is COVID, slow down, change in the marketplace, people were saying we're not willing to pay you for senior literacy right now, at
Yes.
least with the current market atmosphere. And then two was they were saying we're not willing to pay you for that, but then you've got customers on the other hand, they're saying, but I am willing to pay you for this, which is helping us to be tech literate just for job seekers, for people that are wanting to do their own business and learn different skills. And so is that a fair assessment? And that's kind of what caused the pivot is people aren't willing to pay over here. They are willing to pay over here. So we'll go to where what the customers want.
Yeah, very much so. But it was also interesting because it's sort of very much in line with what I've been doing for the last 10 years in tech as far as building teams and developing people. In fact, at the fintech company where I helped lead customer success, I specifically was working towards taking people from customer success, customer facing roles onto my team and then onto product teams and other more professional level versus entry level jobs.
Mm.
So it was nice to be able to kind of doing that program through Lessons Up.
So now we'll harp on it for just a second more on the
Yeah.
pivot, and then we'll move on to where continue on your journey of where you're at today. But when you made that decision, I mean, was it an easy decision that hey, we're going to just make this pivot, we're going to make this adjustment? Was it hard? Because I mean, a lot of times, and myself included, and I'm as guilty as the next startup or entrepreneur, is you get bought into your idea, right? Even whether it's 2 months, 5 months, a year, multiple years, and you're saying, this is what we're going to do. I know this is what, this is what the product is, and you have it envisioned in your head as to how that's going to work. And to make that pivot and that adjustment, while it sounds easy when you're, saying it on a podcast and it takes 2 seconds to say it, making that decision and first of all, can be a bit scary because you're doing something different and it puts you in a bit of an unknown, but you're also kind of moving away from your original idea. So was it easy and simple to make that pivot and adjustment and make that decision, or walk us through a little bit of how you made that decision?
No, it definitely wasn't. I mean, as like you said, it's not easy. And in the beginning, I was very resistant. And I happened to have a lot of good advisors that I was having conversations with throughout the sort of journey of Lessons Up. And
Mm,
they had a bit more insight than I did. Being on the outside, talking to me every couple of weeks about, okay, this is happening over here. People are, deals that were going to be big and we're going to go through are suddenly halted. And meanwhile, there are all of these requests coming through of people just, very pointedly telling me to take a look at what the market is saying.
mm,
And my own process of, well, let's do a small test and see what's happened, what happens versus let's do a huge pivot is kind of what led me there. It's like, okay, well, these people are asking for this. What would it take to serve them? What would that look like? And thinking, the smallest way possible to do that, seeing
mm.
it be very successful, and then just growing from there.
No, and I think that makes sense. So now let's walk through. So you decide to make the pivot. You said, okay, we're still going to be kind of a tech literacy company, but it's going to be less focused on seniors, more focused on entrepreneurs, job seekers, upskilling people, and those type of things. So as you make that pivot, how did you make that over the last 6 months, or what have you been doing once you made that decision to adjust and adapt in order to implement that?
Yeah. So we're a bit like ClassPass for your career. We
Mm,
have live trainings every day from industry professionals in a variety of topics that are all very much in demand on the job market and pretty crucial to growing your own business.
mm,
So our subscribers can come to Lessons Up and attend any of these sessions that they'd like to. And they're doing these face to face with the people who do this every day for their job. So, for example, we had a pizzeria owner in Tennessee during COVID who wanted to drive traffic to her pizzeria for
mm,
takeout orders during lockdown. Was going to live lessons with a 10 plus year growth marketer based in Brooklyn so that
mm.
she could learn how to keep her pizza business afloat. But now it's, entrepreneurs such as that and job seekers and also people who have a stable career. We have a chief product officer who wants to upskill in SEO. So
Mm.
she's been doing our SEO lessons, and luckily we have some of the best of the best. Talita Milan, who's one of our industry professionals, won Content Marketing of the Year award in 2019. I mean, these are award-winning professionals who are just excited to give back and support people to upskill in these areas.
No, and I think that That makes complete sense. Now I'm gonna one question I have on that, because I mean it seems like, and you can tell me where I'm wrong by all means,
Yeah.
that when you do tech literacy for seniors, it's probably a bit more niche, or it's a bit more contained in the sense that there's only, there's generally, and I'm making it up, but seniors, how to use your email, or how to
Yeah.
use, shopping online. I don't know, whatever the classes are, but seniors have what would be more basic, basic things to get them tech literate to begin with, so that they can FaceTime with their family, they can go online, they can check emails, they can do those things. When you get into the world of upskilling people, or helping them to be tech literate, whether it's for their business or to be a job seeker to prepare, that opens up a whole bigger market of skills that you can teach, which is good and bad, in the sense there's a lot more things
Right.
you can teach, but it also means you have to create a lot more content, find the people who can teach them, and kind of makes it a more difficult. So how do you, as you make the pivot, how do you decide, here are the places we're going to start focus on for teaching people? Because it's, that would be, it can seems like it could be overwhelming or a bit daunting, because I can think of, you could do everything from resume building to how to use LinkedIn, to social media marketing, to Shopify, to how do you do Canva, and how you do digital marketing, or design, and list goes on and on. So how do you figure out where to start with that? There's such a big field.
Yeah, and luckily I've done a lot of work in content before. Before Lessons Up, I was a co-founder at Almanac,
Mm,
with the premise of building a sort of documentation base filled with all of the documents you would need to be successful in a startup or at a tech company. So I
mm,
had done a ton of the research and thinking behind the primary skill areas to start with. And I
mm,
followed that model a little bit, but I also just kind of went with who I know and what I know. So the people in my network happen to be very growth marketing oriented, which
mm,
luckily that is very much in demand if you're growing your own business or trying to get a job. So we really are starting with, SEO, social media marketing, digital marketing, and then skills that complement that. No design tools like Canva,
mm.
and no code tools. You've got to be able to put something together and build something. And then going from there, now we've gotten into slightly more technical things like web design, HTML, and CSS. And now it's very much based on requests and what the needs of the market are, or our customers, what they're asking us for.
Okay, no, makes sense. So,
Yeah.
now you've made the pivot, made the decision, identified kind of which skills that you want to at least, or start out, or as kind of the
Mhm.
core. You made that adjustment. Now, remind me, and I think you may have mentioned, I forgot if you did. When did you make that pivot, or when did you make that decision to change gears?
Yeah, it was towards the end of July,
Mm,
and then most of August was rebuilding and preparing and recruiting these industry professionals.
mm,
And then I did a soft launch of sort of our MVP offering mid-September. Uh,
okay. So
yeah,
you've had September, or part of September, October, November, and part of December. So about 3 or 3.5 months.
yeah.
During that time, how has the pivot gone? How's the adjustment? Picking up subscribers, doing the soft launch, getting customers, kind of how has that played out? Has it played out well? Too early to tell? Still working on it, seeing growth every day, or kind of how's that gone for you?
Yeah, definitely seeing growth every month. I mean, initially with the soft launch, I didn't do much to put it out there and wound up with some organic subscribers and then people from my own network.
Mm,
And, that said, we don't have a whole, we have like, 20 subscribers who are actively attending lessons. And then we have about 150 people who have done some sort of a drop in paid lesson event. And then we've also offered a lot of free webinars just for brand awareness and to kind of get people excited about what we're doing. So it's kind
mm,
of been our strategy, like, hey, come and learn how to do SEO with this, all-star growth marketer. We'll do, a free workshop. We'll get
mm.
200 people to show up, and then from that population, we'll start to get subscribers. So there's been a bit of this strategy behind it at this very early phase.
Okay.
I would say it's too early to tell, but I'm very optimistic about it, and
Mm.
it's only building momentum.
So now seeing momentum, and it is hard to tell, gauge in a few months how it's going to
Yeah.
be, and you're soft launching it, you're figuring out what does work, what doesn't work, and
Mhm.
based on that, then you'll adjust and pivot it and continue to do it. And I think that mantra of almost all startups is you're always pivoting, you're always adjusting, because you've got to figure out what the market wants, and you have a pretty good, maybe a good idea when you start out, but you know, you can't know everything, and until you see how people interact and how to play with it, you never know. And it's also even just bug, you know, troubleshooting and figuring out the bugs, in the sense, you know, my favorite joke is, you know, it's hard to make something idiot proof because they keep making such, or making better idiots. And that is, you know, that's always the case, because you always, hey, I would have never thought somebody would have tried to do X, Y, and Z, and yet now they've done it. We got to figure out why it broke in that circumstance. So with all of that in mind, take now the next, you know, we're doing the 6 months catch up. Now you look at the next 6 to 12 months going out again. Where do you see things headed, or what's the next steps?
Yeah, I really want to start to integrate with companies, actually,
Mm,
to build a pool of industry professionals to continue doing the lessons, but also to build a talent pool. We now have a lot of job seekers
mm,
uh, who are going to Lessons Up, and many of them are really fantastic in their career, super talented, and they just happen to be on the job hunt. So I'm
mm,
looking for a way to get them directly connected with companies, but also, you know, having been a hiring manager for 10 years, hiring is horrible. I hate being in that process. I always just want someone, and I want someone now.
mm,
So if I had a trusted source that was like, well, this person's been coming and doing these lessons in SEO, and this is kind of their progress so far, and we highly recommend them. Uh, you know, I would have loved that as a hiring manager. So yeah, it's
mm.
building relationships with hiring managers, building partnerships with companies, and starting to create that true marketplace.
All right. Well, it'll be fun to see how everything continues to pivot and adjust and going forward. So, you know, I normally do my last two questions at the end of each podcast. And now that you're at 6 months on, we don't do those, but maybe we'll do a new question, which is,
Mm.
so, you know, if you were to take where you're at today, what you've learned in the last 6 months, kind of like my last question I always ask, now, what would you talk about as far as pivoting? What would be the one piece of advice when deciding to pivot, stay the course, or how do you deal with it once you get a product up and going? What would be the piece of advice you give to someone that's in a startup?
Yeah, and again, it depends on how early you are and the traction that you have,
Mm,
and what it would take to do that pivot. But if the market is telling you something, don't ignore it. I think, you know, the story about PayPal and eBay is that there was an anomaly where people on eBay were starting to use PayPal, and they saw this anomaly in their data and then pursued it, and then PayPal exploded because it became the go-to solution for buying stuff on eBay. But
mm,
initially it was just you know, a blip in the data, like, well, what's going on over here with this, with eBay? Why are people over there using PayPal? And so I always say look for those anomalies and look at why they're happening, and think through, is this something that I can leverage? Is this something that I can build upon? And then start small and iterate from there.
mm. No, I think that's great advice. And I mean, I think that looking at, you know, the anomalies, how people are using it, what they're using it for, and if it's, you know, if it's right in line with what you're doing, great, keep doing it, but also be
Right.
willing to see how the customers, what the feedback is, how it's being used. And if it's not being used how you intended, but it's still being used, being profitable and building a company, then, you know, pay attention. I think that's great advice.
Yeah.
Those people they want to reach out to you, they want to use Lessons Up, they want to be an employee, they want to be an investor, they want to be a teacher, they want to be your next best friend, any or all of the above. What's the best way to find out more, to reach out with you?
Yeah. Malinda at lessonsup.com. And, you know, the last thing that I would want to say to everyone is that a big premise behind Lessons Up is the ability to instantly grow your network and instantly connect with these industry professionals who are already in a lucrative industry.
Mm,
And that's sort of the magic that happens every day, is people come and they do this live upskill session, but now they know that instructor, and now they're connected in our
mm.
Slack community. And the real magic behind getting access to lucrative opportunities is knowing the right people and knowing the right things. So we're trying to do both of those things. If you want to talk to me about that, Melinda at lessonsup.com or www.lessonsup.com.
All right. Well, I definitely encourage everybody to reach out to Melinda, either check out Lessons Up, email her, find out more, be a customer, support her in her journey. Now, for all of you that are listeners, if you have either your own journey to tell, or you want to share, feel free to apply to be a guest on the podcast by going to inventiveguest.com. And if you're a listener, make sure to click subscribe so you get notifications as all the awesome episodes come out. And last but not least, if you ever need help with patents, trademarks, or anything with your business, feel free to reach out to us at Miller IP Law. Just go to strategymeeting.com, grab some time to chat with us. Thank you again, Malinda. It's been as fun. It maybe is even more fun the original time if that's possible. But thank you for coming back on. It was fun to hear where you're at and wish you the next leg of your journey even better than the last.
Thanks, Devin. It was great being here.